My name is Yara. I'm a Palestinian journalist from Gaza. Today, Israel killed Rushdi Sarraj, a Palestinian journalist, my mentor and boss, and a close friend. I want to tell you the story of Rushdi and who he was and what was his dream. Rushdi was 31 years old and he was a father. In 2008, Rushdi and his best friend Yasser started working on their passion for photography and filmmaking. Later in 2012, they were able to establish Ain Media, a film production company. In the beginning, they wanted to make films and documentaries about the life in Gaza. They wanted to tell the world that Gazans love and have hope and have life. But later, they were compelled to become journalists because of the horrible atrocities that are being committed against Palestinians in Gaza every single day. Yasser was also 31 years old when he was killed by Israeli forces in 2018. He was clearly marked as press when he was covering the Great March of Return protests, and he was killed. He was targeted and killed. Rushdi was devastated. He never imagined losing his best friend and companion and partner, just like that. But he was determined. He was one of the strongest, bravest people I've ever met. He wanted to carry Yasser's message to the rest of the world. He wanted to continue and fulfill his dream. Rushdi continued expanding Ain Media and working to make it an international organization as much as he can, working with many international journalists. Rushdi covered every single aggression on Gaza since 2012, and he lived through 6 aggressions. On the 7th of October, Rushdi lost another best friend of his, Ibrahim Lafi, a Palestinian journalist that was targeted by Israeli occupation forces. While he was covering the situation, he was clearly marked as press, wearing his press vest and helmet. Rushdi was outside of Gaza when the aggression started on the 7th of October, but he immediately went back after the news of his best friend being killed, but he couldn't say goodbye to him. Since the day he went back to Palestine, he wore his press vest, even though he was devastated, and he wanted to report and continue Yasser's and Ibrahim's message, and all of the other journalists who have been killed. Rushdi was someone who loved Gaza, was someone who had so many opportunities to leave, but wanted to stay in Gaza and help the situation there, tell the world about what's happening there. Rushdi has an 11-month baby. Her name is Dania. Dania is gonna grow up without her father. Today, Israeli warplanes targeted his family home, where Rushdi was with his whole family. He was the one who was killed. Other family members were injured, and they're in the hospital right now. Rushdi was a civilian, but also a journalist. Rushdi was a father, a friend, someone who had so many dreams, someone who loved Palestine and fought for it. I've known about Rushdi and his work for a long time, but I only managed to meet him in person 3 years ago when I went back to Palestine. I started interning with Ain Media because I had a passion for filmmaking as well. And he was the best boss I've ever had. I worked with him for more than a year, and in 2022, we covered the aggression together. He was not just my boss. I knew his family quite close, and all of us in Ain Media were like a big family. They came to my house, they ate with my family. They were honestly my second family, and I always talked about them like that. Rushdi was one of the first people who believed in me and in journalism, and he gave me so much support when I started as a journalist. He taught me so much. But he wasn't just a boss. He was one of the most loving people I've ever met. I remember every time we have an occasion in Gaza, whether it's New Year's Eve or whether it's Eid, he would always send us personalized gifts to every single employee with a personalized letter. I was in touch with Rushdi almost every day, and he kept telling me, Yara, please keep doing what you're doing right now because you're our only voice and our only hope, and we don't have internet or connection in Gaza, so the coverage is very limited. And when I lost 30 members of my family, he told me, Yara, stay strong because I am your family. We are all your family. Israel killed, from main media only, Yasser Murtaja, then Ibrahim Lafi, then Rushdi Sarraj, both the co-founders of the company. And two of my other colleagues are still missing, Haytham and Nidal. Israel keeps targeting journalists, keep bombing their houses, killing their families, because they know we're the only people who are able to expose what's happening. They know we're filming everything they're doing to our people and to our children. They're so threatened by our voices and our truth. For Yasser, for Ibrahim, for Rushdi, and every single other one of my colleagues who have been killed, I will try to keep reporting. I'll try to keep telling you the truth. And I will not stop. I'll try to fulfill their dreams. I am one of the only journalists who are still alive from main media. Most of them are either killed or missing. And I know that I'm alive just because I'm outside Gaza. Please talk about Rushdi, talk about Ibrahim, talk about every single journalist who was killed while reporting. They're not numbers. They had dreams, they had visions, they had so many loved ones, so many families.